Welcome to another episode of the Designated Pundits. We are taking a mid-season break, I guess, with the Leagues Cup going on, and we're going to look at the state of the Eastern Conference today, talk about some teams that are overperforming, teams that are underperforming, surprise players. We're going to break it down. Hey, welcome. I'm Scott here with Dion and Bob. I'm doing like my third ever intro to this show. How are we doing?
It's already better than mine.
It was great. It was great.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. Well, gentlemen, this is kind of a fun show. We don't do this too often, where we just step back from the picks and predictions and we actually just look at the teams and say, how's it going, and talk about, all the different things that we see. I feel like sometimes we allude to this stuff. I know that we're always looking at it because we build it into our picks and predictions, but this is a chance to really step back a little bit more. So I guess to start out, we're just going to talk about teams that are outperforming expectations, overperforming expectations, whatever you want to call it. Bob, you want to get us started?
Yeah. Well, before we get started with that, let's go to just take a look at the standings. In this episode, we're only talking about the top 7 teams in the Eastern Conference. Next episode, we'll be going over the bottom 8 teams. So those teams are going to be the Philadelphia Union, FC Cincy, Nashville, the Crew, Miami, Orlando, and Charlotte. Those are the 7 that are guaranteed. Everyone underneath is now out of the playoff picture or working at a playoff game. There are 9 games left in the regular season. I think we go up to 34. Most teams here have played at 25 already. So let's just start like really quickly, each and every team. Philadelphia Union. Maybe we'll go around the horn and say, are they going to continue being in their position? Is it a buy? Is it a sell? How do you think they're going to finish the rest of the season? So let's start with Philadelphia Union. Incredible 15-5-5 so far. Their transfers this season have all been outgoing. Nelson Pierre, CJ Olney, and David Vasquez in this transfer window so far. Add that to Daniel Gazdag and Jack McGlynn from the preseason. A lot of holes there. They brought in Ben Bender, so I'm really feeling confident about that, guys. But why are they first place? And do we see this continuing? I have to just be like, no, but you got to start losing games or proving me wrong somewhere. I've been off all season on Philadelphia, and I've been wrong on them.
I mean, with them getting Ben Bender, MLS Cup champions, right? But no, sorry, Scott. I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, go. Run with it.
I'm kind of like Bob. I've been wrong about Philly all year. I actually, in my very first prediction video of the year, where I talked about breaking down where I think everyone would finish, I actually had Philadelphia in last because I thought Jim Curtin was the mastermind behind it all. And they did lose some players and everything, but they're proving me wrong. But I think there is a handful of teams that I don't see them finishing first at the end of the season in the East.
I think that I'm with you, but I think it'll be really close. And the reason that I'm maybe a little more positive on Philadelphia, just marginally, is because Philadelphia's defense is truly great this season. And that's what it's about for this team. They are very difficult to break down. They don't like to give up goals. And so they are able to make the most of the offense that they do have. Now a lot of that is Ty Baribo with 15, but the next top scorer is Michael Ura with 4, right? So they don't have a ton of guys scoring a ton of goals. What they do have is 7 guys after Baribo who all have 2 or more. So you're getting this by committee approach when Baribo's not scoring. That's what I think hurts them. If you can shut down, Ty Baribo and stop Mikael Ura from getting his impact goal off the bench, that Philadelphia team is a little bit brittle offensively.
Yeah, but that 19 goal differential tells you everything. They've conceded less goals. They've conceded less goals than anyone else in Major League Soccer. And 43 goals is still not a low goal total. Bariba, we can say a lot of negative things about him. He scores like 15 goals in like over 4 games. Like, it's been very streaky on and off, but this is a Bradley Carnell project here. That's what it is. They were the worst defense in Major League Soccer just a year ago. Now they're the best. That is Bradley Carnell. So maybe you were right to blame Jim Curtin, but you were blaming him for the good things and not the inept defense. Let's move on so we can get these covered. FC Cincinnati is next up. They are in second place. They're also a team I did not see being here, a team I criticize all the time, but I did like them picking up Evander. I said he was going to have like an MVP caliber season, and I was absolutely right on that one. I do think he is better than Lucho Costa in just about every way that we've seen. They've also signed Ender Eshenique. I'm probably butchering that name, who's going to be forward / right winger. We'll see what he has. Maybe like kind of slot Luca Orlano back a little bit, get DeAndre Edlin off the field. Always a good thing when that happens. Listen, I'm a hater and I will hate. Dinky has been a little bit of a disappointment. He's produced in bursts, but I wanted him to be a 30-goal Golden Boot lead guy. He's not going to be there. I'm going to sell again on FC Cincinnati. I think that these two teams are going to be easily playoff teams, top 5, but not 1 and 2.
Ooh, I'm going to go second this time so that Dion can wrap it up. But I am not there with you on Cincy. I do think Cincy's legit. I think Cincy has made an adjustment from being a defensive powerhouse to being a team that will go out and play soccer and score goals. I think if you invest in a guy like Evander, you have to commit to playing soccer. You have to commit to having more possession than Cincy has wanted to have. And I think that's really the reason that they are more leaky in the back than they have been previously. I still think this team, I don't know, there's something about it that's a little bit suspect in the back. There's still something about it that's not quite good enough, even for the style change. But I think this team is legitimately kind of where they're supposed to be. They have the firepower. I agree. I would like Denki to have scored a few more, but I think when you have the other players in the team doing what they do, and you're going to create chances for Evander, for Orellana, like it's okay for Denki to be to have 12 goals at this point in the season.
And I think that they're right where they're supposed to be. I think that I'm going to go a little bit farther and say I think they're going to be either second or first here in the East. I think that you all have touched on everything. Evander is doing great there. I think that we could see a little bit more from Valenzuela. I think that you guys touched really well on Denki, but also I feel like Kamara has stepped in with Denki being out with injury. I think Kamara has stepped in and done a good job. He's getting the job done. They're winning games still and everything. I like this team, and yes, you would think that they would be a little bit better at the back with Miazga and Miles Robinson, but I feel like Miles Robinson has not been the same since his injury. What was it, his Achilles when he was with Atlanta? Because if he was that caliber player, him and Miazga would be the best duo in the back in MLS, in my opinion, but he has just not been the same. But yeah, I think that Cincinnati is going to be 1 or 2.
In the little slump where Cincinnati was giving up a lot of goals, it was not the exclusion of Matt Miazga or Miles Robinson. It was Nick Hagglund being out that kind of caught the team on its edge. So we will see what happens there. Moving down to Nashville, I talked about Philadelphia. The change in the coach was the offense. Well, for Nashville, I think the change in the team was for the defense here. Backwards. Change in Philadelphia was the defense coach. Here with Nashville, you have BJ Callahan coming in, and this Nashville team could not score, and he couldn't get him to score last year. He coached 15 games and won 3 of them last year. Well, that has been the exact opposite, and we've seen career highs from Sam Surridge, career highs nearly for Hani Mukhtar. Hopefully he'll get there before the end of the season. Surridge with 18 goals, Mukhtar with 11, combining for 8 assists. So I do by Nashville, but I think that while they're good for the long tournament, I think that they can be beaten in a 1 or 2 off. So I don't think that they can necessarily hang with the best, but they're not dropping points. They're beating every opponent they need to beat along the way. I really like what they've done, and they have stuck to the roster. Their last roster change was May 21st, adding Tate Schmidt as a free agent. Besides that, all their moves were preseason, have not made a move yet. And I guess they don't feel I don't need to. That might be a mistake a little later on. But Nashville, Hany Mukhtar, he was dead in the water. He's back to being one of the best in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, I think it's all a style change. BJ Callahan has got this team actually possessing the ball, playing soccer. It's a huge change that actually plays into Hany Mukhtar's favor because it actually takes advantage of the things that he's good at. Turns out he wasn't good at being on an island, not having the ball at his feet. That's shocking, I guess. I think that Nashville will continue to be up in that top conversation through the end of the season. The only thing that kind of worries me about them is depth. And it's that kind of thing. Okay, if Surridge and Mukhtar, aren't doing it, who's going to step in and do it? Tagseth has been a monster in the midfield for them.
Love him.
Absolutely. He gets a shout out from me later. But if he's not available, there are specific guys that I think you can point to in that lineup and say, if that guy, gets the flu and he's out, or if he gets an injury, or if he just is having a bad day, then what? And since he's got depth, Philly kind of, but Nashville, I'm a little worried about that.
They have what, Bunbury?
And Jacob Schaffelberg, who also gets a shout out from me later.
I think Nashville is going to be in the top 5. I think that they could possibly drop. But also to point out, Bob, you were talking about their offense, and yes, their offense has been fantastic, but also their defense. They have only allowed 26 goals so far this season. So I think that you got to throw that out there. But yeah, I think that they'll be a top 5. And also, I like what I'm seeing from Perez. He's playing out on the left. I think for a young guy, he has played very well and has fit in that starting lineup for them. But if Surridge and Mukhtar stay healthy, I could see them finishing in that like 3rd spot. But I feel like someone might miss a game or two. I think that they will be in the top 5 though. And I like what BJ is doing there.
Absolutely. Let's move on now to the Columbus Crew, playing about as well as we would have expected. This is a team that, took a couple players that they had, and Christian Ramirez, Cucho Hernandez. That's 2 huge parts of that offense that they let leave. Also, AZ Jackson, DeJuan Jones left this squad. We look at the players in. The big one is going to be Daniel Gazdag, who just hasn't really contributed that much. Hasn't necessarily needed to, because there's guys like Max Arfston who have been like world beaters. Columbus Crew did address some things during the trade deadline. They got a midfielder, Hugo Picard, from EA Guingamp, and then they got Wessam Abu Ali from El Ahly. I believe that's the Saudi club that is that where Ronaldo's playing now? One of their rivals, maybe?
Maybe one of their
rivals. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. This is actually the best team in Saudi Arabia, not the one Ronaldo's on.
Because this guy that's coming in played in the Club World Cup.
Yes.
Ali, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. He had a good World Cup showing,
is right.
I believe.
So he got a good World Cup showing. Now he's headed to the Columbus Crew, who are about where we thought they would be. I think we actually had him at 4th or really close.
Yeah. Actually, this is a team that even if we predicted them correctly, I sort of think this team is overperforming because offensively they didn't do anything to replace Cucho and Christian Ramirez. Right now, it's the Diego Rossi show. He's got 12 goals and not that many assists, actually. It's only 3. Thank you. 15 goal contributions. Jason Russell Rowe has 7 goals, and then Max Arfston, 3rd on the chart, 4 goals. that is concerning, I think, for a team at the top end of the table. It's in a similar way that Philadelphia's breakdown is concerning. I think for the Columbus Crew, though, it's all about the fact that their defense makes things happen when they need them to make it happen. They only have a +5 goal difference. So Columbus is making every goal count. They're getting results when they need the results. But that's one of the things that I think could really easily start to slip.
Yeah. I agree. Moving down to Inter Miami, they added Rodrigo DePaul. They have 3 games in hand on everyone else. Did I skip Dion?
You did.
Just
wow.
A little bit.
Just a little.
I mean, you guys hit on it. I actually had them at the beginning of the season. I had them kind of low. I had them fighting for a playoff spot because they didn't have a replacement for Cucho or Ramirez. So, where was that, the goal scoring going to come from? Rossi has stepped up, carried them on his back. I mean, Russell Rose having a good season too, but I like where they're at right now. I could see them maybe in that 5th spot, possibly 6th, but with some of the, I feel like a lot of people were hyping up the striker that's coming in. So if he can score goals as soon as he comes in, with Rossi continuing to play well, maybe they could even be higher. I don't know. I feel like they're very much up in the air. And I would say right now, they're going to be kind of like right where they're at now.
Great save by Sean Callahan in the chat saying no Egypt. Yes, Al Ahly is the Egyptian champion, not Saudi Arabia. It does sound very similar to the team names, though. Moving on, Inter Miami added Rodrigo DePaul. That's going to be a pretty big deal. They lost Lionel Messi. We're not really sure how long that injury is going to last, but after getting suspended for not playing the All-Star game, it turns out his legs really were about to fall off. Again, they have 3 games in hand. I expect them to move up just because by law of averages, they're going to have more points in the very near future, although I am concerned with Luis Suarez's lack of scoring. Last year, he found the fountain of youth. This year, not so much. However, if they rely on some other players today, Walende, Talasco Segovia, who've been doing fantastically anyway, I don't see that as much of an issue. And it is worth pointing out that Suarez, while he's not scoring, has a lot of assists this year, most of them to Lionel Messi.
Miami's a little more inconsistent this year. Sometimes they're phenomenal. Sometimes they're pretty average. If they can be a little bit smarter than they were last year, go into the playoffs healthy, rested, and I guess more importantly, hot. Right, that's where you look to them to do their damage. It's a team that really should be built for the playoffs. At this point, they shouldn't really care that much about the regular season. They did that.
I agree. They should be looking ahead to the future.
Dion?
Yeah.
I did not do it that time either. There was a long pause.
I'm with you. I think that they are going to maybe move up a little bit, just because they have that many games at hand. How long will this Messi injury be? Can they win games? I don't know who all they have coming up in their. I know their next match in MLS will be Orlando, but I think that we're going to see them perform well. But I think at this point in time, with them not being at the top of the East, maybe rest some guys waiting to go into the playoffs to perform better in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and interesting from Sean here. Again, Sean, clutch in the comments here. The quintessential quintuplets will be run ragged this year. I'm a Miami fan. Mascherano will run them dead. Will be bounced in the playoffs. That's kind of what we're seeing, and that's the worry. If I were a Miami fan, that would be the concern.
If I were a Miami fan, I would say, okay, take the 9th spot. How many games do we need to win from now on to just make the playoffs? That's how many we're going to go. But Messi being the cash cow he is, we don't know if he's going to get that time off. Moving on now, 2 teams left, Orlando City and Charlotte, and I feel like they are kind of exact opposites. Orlando is completely inconsistent. I don't know if they're going to win on the road or at home. Charlotte, they're going to win at home and lose on the road, and they do it very well. For Orlando, not a whole lot of changes. They brought in Tyrese Spicer, who could actually be a really good addition to the squad if you want to do something like move Martin Ojeda to forward permanently, because we know no one on that team as a center forward is going to lead the team in scoring. It's all Ojeda and Pasalic. Ramiro, Muriel, incredibly frustrating. Duncan, 1 goal this season. A lot of quality on the team, but I don't know what lineup they're going to have. I don't know what striker they're going to have. I don't know what's going to happen week to week, and they have been the bane of my existence when it comes to gambling this season.
It's a roller coaster with them. There is so much quality in that roster, and some of their highlights are genuinely, mind blowing. Just incredible soccer. They're capable of some wonderful, wonderful things. But nobody else in the top 7 has dropped points from winning positions as often as Orlando City. And that's sort of the thing. Like there's no center forward play. They drop points from winning positions, right? They take their foot off the gas. This is a team that will continue to be at the bottom end of this like top 7 group because they cannot do those other things. I just don't see them really moving up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see them moving up. If anything, I could actually see them moving down. I won't say that they'll drop out of the top 9. I think that they could be in that 8th or 9th spot, but it just depends on how inconsistent they will be or won't be down the stretch here at the end. They have a lot of good players, but I feel like they can never get these players to be consistent or work together consistently.
I agree there. Home record, 5 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses. Away record, 6 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. Kind of backwards. And when we look at Charlotte, I mean, it's exactly the opposite. Charlotte did have some more changes that we need to kind of talk about very briefly as I pull them up. They got Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy from Montreal and Suleiman, that was kind of preseason, but they've since let go of a couple players. Ben Bender is out. João Pedro was transferred out. Yuri Tavares was transferred, and Patrick Ajiman to Derby County. That's kind of the big one here. So Charlotte's missing a little bit with Taklamati up front. I don't think that he's an incredibly skilled player, but if he's relied on to be the number 1 and he gets opportunities, he's going to put some balls in the back of the net. Is he the striker on an MLS Cup winning team? Absolutely not for me.
Yeah, not for me either. This is a weird thing to say, but Charlotte's offense, I think, should be better than it has been. Overpaid for Zaha and Abada. Yeah, kind of. Zaha was
oddly
the one
enough,
that I
underpaid for Pep Biel, who wasn't their guy. He was just okay, we got to sign someone, let's do it. And then they struck magic.
Yeah, Pep Biel is a guy that is in the conversation with Evander right now for me. And if he was not sitting on 21 goal contributions this season, Charlotte would be a lot further down the table. But Zaha's been okay. Abada's been okay, and that's not really good enough for the level of investment you put into guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think, though, I will say Zaha just had a interview where he kind of went off on saying, like, I'm chirping at guys on the team because I know that they can do better, because I know I can do better. Like, he, kind of, so maybe that'll be maybe lighting a fire under the locker room, but I don't know. I feel like he should be doing better than what he is. And
he's also had the toughest year. I mean, getting acclimated to the U.S. in this current thing is tough anyway. Mm-hmm. But traveling overseas, the birth of his child, all those things, that gets you in a little ways. And I feel like I don't feel, and maybe this is because I'm not a Charlotte fan, I don't watch him in and out every week for 90 minutes. But I don't feel like he's really gotten into the swing of things. And like, has he had like a 5-game stretch where he's played every game for 5 games? Like, I'd have to look that up,
Mm-hmm. I do think about when he was playing at Crystal Palace, though, and he was kind of the man there. And this is sort of what the Zaha experience was like, though. He was a guy who was really good, and you were kind of like, he could play on a bigger team. But then you really watched him function in the system, and you're like, what bigger team would ever go in for him? And it's kind of the thing now. You look at him, you look at his stats, and you're like, yeah, you've got goals and assists. There's quality there. There's definitely like game savviness and experience, and there's high standards, and all of that is true. And yet the performance, the end result is not to the level of all the other things. The result is less than the sum of the components.
Yeah, and I'm looking over his stats now. I vastly overestimated his unavailability. He has missed about 3 games all season long now. Again, that doesn't mean that he's caught chemistry just yet, especially 2 of them being a little early. Yeah, man, I was making excuses for this guy too. Damn, he hasn't been living up. Oof.
I think that he'll have a better season next year if he's even still here. It depends on if he gets transferred or not. But I would think that he's going to be here next season. But I would say that he's going to have a better season next year than this year.
Would you rather have Suarez or Zaha as your target man this year?
This year? Oh, man.
I would say Suarez because he has more assists. He has 10 assists.
Yeah, but who's he going to feed, though? Yeah. He either had Osimhen or Tokomani now.
If that's your target man, I don't know. If you had really good wingers, I would take Suarez. If you had a really strong, prolific striker, then Zaha might be your guy.
Yeah, if I have Pep Biel passing,
I was gonna say I would pick Suarez with the team that they have, like Vargas. Well, Vargas comes off the bench, so you have Abada and Biel. Like I think that I would go with Suarez on that one.
Like it. And Vargas is someone who I've talked about. He's like the XG minus goals king. Like he will always be projected to score like 15 more goals than he actually puts in the back of the net. I mean, there's some still in orbit from last season when he had that position pretty often. Let's get into a book of the episode where we're going to talk about some players that are performing over, underperforming. I'll start us out. What team is overperforming? That is our question today. Our preseason ranking had Nashville at number 11 in the East. They are number 3. Again, we talked about coaching, and it's been a huge change in the offense. Hani Mukhtar was on the side of a milk carton at the end of last year, but he has 11 goals, 5 assists. I did not see that happening. I did not see Sturridge playing as well as he has, in the Golden Boot chase. All things we did not predict. No faith in BJ Callahan, but he's showing that he's a better at getting results so far than Gary Smith, who, played shutdown defense, but at times couldn't score. And once the defense goes, so does the team.
Love it. My overperforming team, Nashville's the real answer to this. They've huge growth. But for me, I'm going to just shout out Columbus. And for the reasons that we just talked about, they didn't do enough to replace Cucho or Christian Ramirez offensively. The goals that they are scoring count so much more than I think than the goals of the other teams around them. That +5 goal difference when teams around them have double-digit positive goal differences. But I think they've done a good job in other areas. Aiden Morris left, and Dylan Chambos has really stepped into that position next to Darlington Nagbe, who continues to defy time itself. It's hard to say any team coached by Wilfred Nancy is an overperformer, but I just look at that roster, Jason Russell-Rowe, they were relying on AZ Jackson off the bench for so long this season. I'm just thinking, how in the world have they managed to grind out all those results? But they have. So
shout out to one of my favorite players in MLS for a long, long time, Lassi Lapalainen. I remember when he was up in the Great White North, just given good service. I mean, not an incredible player by any means, but like if I'm a coach and I had to pick like a player, like this is a fundamentally sound player, be more like Lassi Lapalainen. That kind of the name. It's come up for so long, and it's, I know, not a name that a lot of people, I guess is a player you should know in MLS by far, but I feel like he's a little underappreciated still.
And for me, I would have went with Nashville too. Whenever you first asked this question, that's who I was thinking about going with. But since you took it, Bob, I went with Philadelphia. Like I said earlier, I predicted Philadelphia not to have that great of a season. Just with maybe I just thought too highly of Jim Curtin. Maybe that's the issue that I had. And some of the guys that they lost, McGlynn, with him moving on, I thought McGlynn was a bigger part of the team than really what he was. And then I also thought Elliott, back on the back line with Glesnes, I thought Elliott was very good. Also biased because he went to WVU, so maybe I just had a little bit more expectation of that. But I think Ty Baribo he's been kind of quiet as of late, but I feel like him scoring those 15 goals pretty much at the beginning of the season kind of gave Philadelphia a different light. And so I would say with Philadelphia being in first is definitely overperforming in my book.
Love it. Let's move on now to which team is underperforming. For me, it's really easy. It's Inter Miami. And hey, they won the Supporter Shield last year. They won that. They've been on that trip, and they made it very clear what they're going to do this year. They want to win every trophy, and the Supporter Shield doesn't count as a cup. Like it's that obvious. Their play has been up and down depending on how many games a week they play. That happens with an older team, but I did think that they would have the depth to do it no matter what. Because even if you look at the B squad, if you take out the projected 11 starters, with the exception of like Pico and Obanda, like in midfield, there's no change. In defense, there's very little change between, some of these players that you have starting. Tricky enough, they've had some issues with the goalkeeper position. Calendar, Ustari, Rios, Marcos Novo all had injuries at different times. William Yarbrough is now on the roster somewhere kicking around. So my underperformer is Inter Miami.
Valid, totally valid. I'm gonna go with a neighbor. It's Orlando. It's the roller coaster for me. This team, the last 5 games, by the way, 1-1 draw, at home against Montreal. That's a bad result. A 1-2 loss at home to NYCFC. That's a bad result. And then a 1-3 win on the road in Columbus. That's a great result. Yeah, this is a team that high highs, low lows, very, very little in between. I mentioned the drop points stat before. They've dropped points from winning position 6 times this season, 3 draws and 3 losses. That's the worst by 2 whole games of anybody else in the East. Nobody else has lost more than 2 games from that top 7, by the way. Nobody else has lost more than 2 games from winning positions. So just that inability to see out games for Orlando, that's holding them back. And Oscar Pereja has half the job, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to go like a 5-man back line now, because they picked up Sean Spicer, who played like a little left wing back with, I think, a couple of weeks on, where is he, over Toronto? And that with Alex Freeman kind of like, becoming a star. Orlando doesn't have less stars than they started with. They have more stars than they started with, which makes this even a little more confusing on how that's happened.
Yeah, they could be a dangerous playoff team if they're hot, but by the same token, they could go out to anybody at any time.
100%. I did not really have an underperforming. I feel like a lot of this top 7 are kind of, we have overperforming, but nothing really stands out other than you could talk about Charlotte and how bad they are on the road. If you look at their road record, if you just went off on the east side, the Eastern Conference, and went off of road record, they are 12th in the East on their road record. It's just terrible. And that's kind of underperforming how good they are at home. And with the lineup and the roster is what I was looking for. The roster that they have, they should be doing better than what they are.
I think Charlotte has like 2 draws this season. Is that right?
Let's see. Yes, Charlotte has only 2 draws on the season.
12 wins, 11 losses, 2 draws. That is not good enough. You've got to find a way to get points out of some of those losses.
Yeah, and 3-1-9 on the road this year. So yeah, not a good road.
But if
Yeah.
you add Charlotte's draws to Atlanta's draws, you get 11 total, and that's a very high number. Okay, let's move on now and talk about some top players. Mine I've already mentioned earlier. Sam Surridge, 18 goals, 3 assists. Last year, he only had 12 over the course of the season. With 9 games to go, I could see him breaking that 20 mark if he gets on a little tear. 25's not out of the question either, and neither is the Golden Boot. I really like Sam Surridge, and again, something with that offense, BJ Callahan has him humming, so I'm going to go top player, Sam Surridge for me.
Dion, you wanna take this next one?
Yeah, Bob, you had to throw in how bad Atlanta is, didn't you? You just had to do it. Unbelievable. Anyway, for my top player in the East in those top 7 teams, it has to be Evander. He's putting Cincinnati on his back pretty much. When you need him to score in a big moment, he scores in a big moment. If he needs to do something else, like dribbling down the side to get an assist, he's doing it. I think I might have made a mistake here. I did 22 goals and assists on the season. I think it might be 21. It's right there somewhere. I mean, he can play anywhere. I feel like anywhere on the field, and he's killing it. MVP in my book right now.
Absolutely love it. I'm with you. Pat Beal is in that conversation. But I want to shout out just something a little different. It's Edward Tagseth. Look, he's only got like 2 assists on the season, but he is doing so much other work. He's in top percentage for tackles, for duels, for touches. He's doing so much dirty work. It's actually really funny. He has one of the highest number of tackles, like 1, but his tackle win percentage is really, really low. And he's at the bottom end of that stat. So you can see that he is literally just everywhere. He's buzzing around, getting involved in absolutely everything. He has a touch like every 1.5 minutes, a little less than that, in any one game. It's the type of dirty work that success is built on. So, when we talk about Nashville being an overperformer, when we talk about Sam Surridge being incredible, when we talk about the resurrection of Hani Mukhtar, this is the behind the scenes work that all that is built on.
Love it. He's a player that he's very easy to follow on the pitch too. he that unique look. And, I watched him at Red Bull Arena, Sports Illustrated Stadium. And my eye was just drawn to him all over the field. Just love it. Love it. And that's exactly, that's like a Scott pick right there. Like we're picking like the easy things and he's like picking a workhorse. Now let's talk about our unexpected players. These are players that we didn't expect them to do what they were going to do. I didn't say whether it was positive or negative, although I took it in the positive light. For me, it's going to be Kai Wagner. As you should know by now, he's a player that has had some controversy around his name. 8 assists and a goal has him the highest rated player if you use anything like Sofa Score, Who Scored, any of those. He's the highest rated player on his team, and that includes a 15-goal scorer. So it just kind of shows exactly what he's doing behind the ball. He was almost run out of the league 2 seasons ago for making some racist comments, and I can't comment on whether he had a change of heart or anything, what he learned from that mistake. But I haven't heard his name come up with any issues this season. I haven't heard any locker room thing. He is leading that team by example. And when he is the top-rated player on the best team in the league, there you go.
Yeah, a lot of guys would have let, a past scandal like that really define them and get on top of them. He has really shown a lot of, kind of that mental. I don't know if it's toughness or if it's just ability to forget, but that's some turnaround. I have kind of an unexpected player, but it's outside the top 7, so forgive me for that. It's Philip Zinkernagel, who is a guy that I just did not expect. He had a really quiet career coming into MLS. He had like 2 good seasons in the past 5 years where he hit the 10-goal mark. One of those 5 years ago where he went off for Bodo Glimt. But he has come in, formed a good partnership with Hugo Kuipers. He has 10 goals and 7 assists. I think that's that's fantastic on a pretty mediocre Chicago team. So this is a guy I just kind of couldn't get around. Unexpected for me.
Love it. Dion?
Yeah, for me, for a team that is very inconsistent this season, I went with Ojeda for Orlando City. I mean, he has 14 goals and 10 assists on the season already this season, coming off of 2 seasons before that where 2023 had 6 goals and 7 assists. 24 he had 7 goals and 10 assists. I think he's having an outstanding season for Orlando City. And he's in the 97th percentile of wingers and midfielders of creating chances this year. So I just think that was kind of unexpected for me for him because, he was doing a lot less than this. And I feel like this team does have a lot of good players. So you think it would be spread around a little bit more, but he's kind of stepped up and he's kind of leading the team right now. And I like that for him.
I do too. Definitely a player that we need to be a little bit higher on. All of the, Orlando is such a talented team. That's why it makes us so angry. When we get to disappointing players, I'm going right back to Orlando, Enrique and Muriel. I just want someone to win the job right away. I mean, I guess it's Muriel, but when was the last time we're like, oh, look at those Muriel highlights from last night? If you rolled back our group chat from this year, the last time we talked about him was like last season. I don't think he's come up in group chat yet this year.
I don't remember typing his name one time this season.
And I think that kind of says enough. Paslic, 10 goals, 4 assists. Ojeda, 13 goals, 7 assists. Where is the forward contribution? They're adding up to just about 13 total between him and Enrique. If you add Duncan McGuire to the mix, you get 1 extra. It's just a disappointment for me just from the whole position outright. And Muriel could score 15 goals in this league. Like that is not, with a little bit of effort, outside of what he can do. He's done it in Serie A.
Yeah, I like that. For me, disappointment, I'm going to go with a different kind of look. Jacob Schaffelberg. That was a guy that we liked last year. Yeah, it was like 9 goal contributions last season on a really disappointing Nashville team that finished 13th in the league. Yes, I get that. But this was a guy that he was exciting. He brought a lot of energy. He was doing contributions for a team that was bad, right? So that's a good thing. He broke through to Canada. He was playing well, for Canada. I want to say that he actually had a really good game against the US men's national team, and everybody was kind of like, boy, I wish that kid was American. This season just can't even get on the field. He's got 1 goal. He's got 600 minutes played. He is riding the bench hard. That's just a really disappointing thing to me. For somebody that was on that kind of upward trajectory, that he couldn't take that next step, that he can't get into this system, which I think would probably benefit him. And he can't get that. And I don't think BJ Callahan is being unfair to him. I think Schaffelberg is not winning time. And he's a 25-year-old player now. And so that's not good enough. You gotta get on the field, man. Like, you're entering your prime. These are the moments when you really need to step forward, and it's not happening.
No, he's the tag Sith of last year, kind of. In my eye, you know what I mean? Like he was everywhere last year.
He was
like, in the attack, playing defense. Like, he was making those tackles, and just what happened? That's what I would like to know. Like, what happened to have that big of a fall off for him? For me, I kind of went this might be an odd one. I went to the goalkeeping position. I went with Kalina from Charlotte. He had
the best pick. That's the best pick here.
That's the best pick here.
Actually.
I mean, we talked. I mean, the league talked about him a lot last year. He was great last year, and he only allowed, I think it was like 32 goals last year. He conceded 31. And he's already allowed 37. And maybe I don't really look at save percentages too much, but this season he only has a 69% save percentage, which could be good, could be bad, but it's nowhere near what he had last season and even the season before. I mean, last season he had a 76% save percentage. So I just think that, what happened there? Like, did you have a better defense last year that you didn't have to deal with too many shots compared to this season?
Was exactly the same. Exactly the same, guys.
I feel like it's the same. So what happened? Like, you've already, I think you have 10-ish games left, and you've already surpassed conceded goals by 5 from what you had last season of all of last season.
And it's also worth noting, you said how many goals did you concede? 29?
37?
37. They've allowed 39 because he was benched and they started Bingham over him as like kind of a get your head in the game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these for goalkeepers is like a confidence thing. You save one, you're going to stay on your head for the next one. It's a thankless job. I would never want to be a keeper, man. It's you miss one or two, but then you could be playing miserable and stop like a penalty, and all of a sudden you have a crown on. It's very tough out there, and Kalina is definitely one of the players who was untouchable last season. He was benched at a point this year.
Yeah, that is a good pick. That is a really good pick.
Now, we are going to be back on Wednesday to talk about the bottom 8 teams. Again, we're going to start very, very brief, even briefer recap of what they're doing in the trade deadline. And then we're going to get right into top disappointing players, maybe a little tweaked format because we're not going to have so many positive things to talk about like we did for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the Designated Pundits. Make sure you catch us every Monday with a recap show, Thursday with predictions. This week, we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we will see you there. So thank you again for tuning in to the Designated Pundits.